Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk. And I have something crazy to talk about. There is a conspiracy on this planet that has been held for 4,000 years, at least. Let me take this off. At least 4,000 years. Okay? And the conspiracy is a cover up for creation. Okay? Creation. Let me get out my facts. Okay, in 1849, a archaeologist discovered 14 tablets in ancient Samaria. Okay? Today, Iraq. Okay? With ancient Sumerian writing written on it. Okay? Translated, 14 tablets. There's the Epic of Gilgamesh. It has a bunch of other gods and stuff on it. Okay? But in the first two tablets, it tells where these gods came from. Okay? And in the third tablet, it establishes their 6 days of creation. In these tablets, they describe these ancient gods as the Anunnaki. Okay? Ancient beings from the heavens that came from a planet called Nibiru. Okay? The ninth planet. Some of you may have heard of that. The ninth planet comes into rotation with our planet every 3,600 years, apparently. Okay? And their planet was suffering from some type of oxygen invasion that was turning the planet uninhabitable. So they needed gold. So they got off on their planet onto our planet and started farming gold. Okay? With them, the Anunnaki, they brought an extra alien race called the Gibi. The Gibi, something like that. It's crazy. Alright? And they used this extra alien race to mine the gold. And these aliens, I guess they were conquered from another planet or something like that, because they rose up against these Anunnaki, okay, and tried to rebel against them, which caused their entire race to get almost demolished. And the Anunnaki, okay, which is still the Nibiru people, okay, says, oh shit, well, who's gonna mine our gold now? So the leader of the planet Nibiru, his name was called, this is all in the tablets, Anu, okay? He had a son named Enki, okay, Enky, okay? The leader, Niki, okay? And he ordered his son to mass produce a different race that would be loyal and obedient but smart enough to do the job. Looking all around the planet, the guy started performing experiments, and he mixed goats and man heads and them goats, and he started mixing them until finally he came across cavemen, prehistoric cavemen, and mixed it with the Naki DNA, making Homo sapiens, which to live and serve and to dig up gold. Okay? Here's the other crazy thing. This first settlement city that took 6 days to create, by the way, was named Eden. Okay? Eden. And they made gold they dug up gold every day because they needed gold, because apparently gold stops the heat or whatever, and Nibiru needed this. These beings lived for thousands of years. Okay, us, the humans, did not. But with the demand for the workload, they allowed them to procreate, making an overpopulation of the city of Eden. So they kicked them out. Okay? They kicked them out. Okay? Garden of Eden, getting kicked out. Crazy. Second, okay, also, alright, that the Anunnaki started having sex with some of these humans, okay, causing these big giants, which we know all back then. You had Goliath, you had, there's an article for the anthropology, okay, stating that when giants roamed the earth, look it up, okay, there's about 50 names of giants back in the day in different locations. Giants roamed the earth, okay, it's true. There's so much documentation about 20 feet, 30 feet giants that ruled nations. They had names, there's graves, there's armies, there's commemorations, there's statues all over the earth. Look it up. And people are hiding the dead bodies. So this is the conspiracy that I'm getting at. They're hiding the bones. Why are they hiding the bones? Why are they just getting rid of the bones? Here's why. I'm getting to that point. So the Anunnaki started mixing with the human race, and the human race started producing these giants, which we call Nephilim, okay, which was, you know, angel and man, God and man, Nephilim, giant, okay, which they started owning their own kingdoms. Well, the ruler of Nabari, or whatever the planet's name is, was concerned that a human would rise up and take over with their blood in them, right? And so he wanted to control the human population. Okay, well, he couldn't do nothing about it because it was too out of control. So but when the planet Nibiru's second rotation came back around after they mass amount of gold, they knew it was coming, so they let it cause earthquakes, fire, superheating, and then the polar ice melts, which causes the Great Flood. Okay? A lot of the Nabari people left, went back to their planet. Only a few of them stayed behind, okay? And in the tablets, it describes them as celestial boats, okay? And there was more than one. We only know of the one, Noah, right? There's other ones, okay, that lived forever, because this flood and rain happened for a long time. Anunnaki, the leader back then, had a couple favorite humans that he liked. One of them, his name was in the book Odessel, Odyssey, and we know him today as Noah. And then later in the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh runs into him again because he's quest for immortality. Crazy, right? Okay, so after the flood clears and everybody who survives, they start making spaceports again, okay, which is what these temples are back then. They're spaceports, okay. They start developing spaceports again, okay, so they can go back home, leaving behind the human race, their creation, plus the few Nephilims, a bunch of Nephilims, okay, who in turn took over the land in creation, right? So let me tell you this. If there's an ancient order somewhere out there that's hiding the truth about creation, what do you think they're going to go do to the extent of that creation? What do you think they're going to do? Let me tell you what they're going to do. Okay? Creation, the giants are proof of creation. They're proof of the Anunnaki. Okay? Their blood would tell us. These people had elongated heads, maybe 60 teeth in their mouth, because they were meant to eat, you know, they're aliens, they probably eat whatever. Okay? And they're like 20 feet tall. Their bones are in the tombs, and you can measure them. They're huge. So, these are evidence of the Anunnaki, right? The human race is finally free. They cover it up. They cover it up. After they conquer, there is a piece of history that we are missing where humans and giants coexist that we saw a giant 20 feet tall every day, and we ignored it because we knew why. And we attacked and killed those giants, conquering them one by one to where they had to flee and live in the wilderness and no longer lived in cities as kings. The bloodline. Okay? Gilgamesh, great conquerors, okay, were all giants. And we would kill them and hide the tombs. And to make sure that that part of our history never comes to light again, they're getting rid of the bones. This is some crazy shit, right? Crazy shit. So there goes our whole piece of our history. I mean, why don't we teach about some ancient Samaria in schools? Why don't we teach about, they gave us the will, they gave us the language, first written language, they gave us irrigation, tunnels, plow. They gave us all of that 4,500 years ago. Maybe even longer than that. And we haven't, you know, we don't talk about them in school at all. Why? Because it's a cover-up. It's a huge cover-up. This is Anthony Kaiser. It's been another conversation of, let's just have a chat. Tell me what you think in the comments. Are giants real? Were they made by the Anunnaki? Will the Anunnaki come back? Is Nibiru real? Side note, I'll leave a link in the below if you want to watch a couple of videos on either the Anunnaki, Nibiru, ancient Samaria, giants that roam the earth. I'll leave a link for each one of those. You want to do some research yourself. And those of you who believe in the it backstory, let me ask you something. Okay, it was the only thing that destroyed the creature it. I know I'm doing crazy leap here, but I want you to stop and think. The crazy leap that it was been around since Earth began, right? His only nemesis is a giant turtle, right? The father of all creation, a giant turtle, right? If you lived on a planet back then, and in the background, like you're looking off in the horizon, you see the edge of the ocean, and you see the moon in the sky, sun over here, moon in the sky. But then every 3,600 years, what pops along? Nibiru, right? Nibiru, okay? It's a giant island. It's a giant planet in your background, but it's hella close, right? What does that look like when you have a horizon? Okay, look, I'll show you. This is the whole planet. This is the ocean. What happened? What does that look like when you're rotating? And this is the planet. What does that look like? What does that look like? Look at my knuckles. What does that look like as we're rotating? If you're looking off in the distance, what does that look like? That's a giant planet, but to a human, or to anybody back then, what does that look like? Giant sea turtle. Don't that look like a giant sea turtle? Crazy. So, what I'm saying is that if you look at biblical texts, ancient Sumerian tablets, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I think there's a Scottish one that got taken out of the Bible too, a Scotland one, early works scribe. If you read all of those, they all talk about a flood. Okay, Ganush, Deluge, something like that. Giant flood. Every single one of them talk about the flood. Every single one of them talk about beings that come down and a single father and a creator. Every single one of them talk about being kicked out. And every single one of them talk about giants. Okay? All corners and walks of life of Earth experience the same thing. All around the same time. How do you explain that? There was an influential race of aliens called the Anunnaki that came down and spread their culture through the whole planet because they didn't have a choice. They needed gold, right? They needed gold to sustain their planet. They probably done this millions of times. They run out of gold. They look around at a sector. Oh, that planet has a lot of gold deposits on it. Let's go over there. And they bring a race. They probably took a bunch with them. A bunch of us with them to the next planet. Right? Crazy. This has been another episode of Let's Talk. I'm Anthony Kaiser. Have a good day.